Hello and welcome to the Lillian McMorris Show. My name is Ken Young. I'm your guest host on today. We're sending love and well wishes out to Lillian as she is on her way back. Lillian, we miss you and we love you. Today, I'm really excited about our guest on today. Let me get this title right. I have Dr. And I said yes, Dr. Lisa Morris Hibbler of the city of Las Vegas that's here with me on today. Welcome, Lisa.
Thank you so much.
She has so much stuff that's going on. She is that quiet storm that's in the city that when you need somebody to make things happen, Lisa is the go-to person. Now, Lisa, you are a native of California like myself, right?
Absolutely.
And how many years have you been in Las Vegas?
22.
22 years. I've got you by a little over 10, 12 years myself. And you were we used to call them brats back at the time. Her father was in the Air Force, the best force, and then they came here to Las Vegas.
Yes, that's correct. We moved up from Victorville. My dad actually retired before he had us, but we still moved around a lot, like we were Air Force brats.
Okay.
So always lived by a base, always had friends on the base, went to school on the base. So.
Awesome. So, you came to the city. Now, you've been working with the city of Las Vegas for now how many years?
19.
19 years.
19 years.
And she looks like she's about 18 and a half. And I tell you that Lisa is making a lot of noise, doing a lot of things. And I'm going to target a couple of those. Now, I know that you're working under the umbrella of My Brother's Keeper. And we've had an opportunity to sit at some meetings and some major conferences as you've been one of the pivotal points and people that are making things happen with that organization.
Yeah, so we are so excited about My Brother's Keeper. I mean, some people don't know it's from a national initiative by President Obama that really wanted to lift up our kids of color. And in Las Vegas, that's something that is near and dear to us, that we want all kids to succeed. So with the collaboration of Nevada Partners, who's a convener, we have been focusing on 3 areas that are critically important to our kids of color with a real emphasis on African American students. And that is that all kids enter kindergarten ready to learn. Secondly, that we keep kids on track to graduate and make sure that they are prepared for college and careers. And third, the school to prison pipeline, which might be a term that's a little foreign to people, but what it really means is that we have students who literally, because they're going into the juvenile justice system, are on a trajectory to go to the adult penitentiary.
Okay. Now, I know the school to prison pipeline, that has been very controversial over the years. Now, me being in law enforcement, a lot of times I've been on that other side where we have pushed kids, not pushed kids, but we have brought kids into the system based on things that they've done. Mm-hmm. And over the years, I've had an opportunity to sit down with people like yourself and talk about how we can help turn that around. What are some of the things that you guys are doing with the organization?
Well, first, let me just say this. I mean, in Las Vegas, one of the facts that people may not know is that as an African-American student, you are 1 in 9 times more likely to have interaction with the juvenile justice system. And that's significant because if you are Hispanic, you are 1 in 22 times, and as a Caucasian, 1 in 33 times. So what we're seeing here is African-American students, although represent only about 12% of the student population, are 34% represented in the juvenile justice system. And what we're really trying to do is have conversations with law enforcement about the impact of students getting to the juvenile justice system, especially as an African American. They tend to go deeper into the system. So in other words, they don't necessarily get access to the diversion programs or other things that can keep them out of the system. And they also don't necessarily get the wraparound services that they need to become productive adults, which, unlike maybe the adult system, the juvenile system is about helping kids to redirect that behavior so that they can grow up to be productive.
Now, are we seeing any common denominator as to why the kids are either the same types of offenses that they're doing? Are we seeing any common denominator?
We haven't been able to really get the data necessary to do the type of research we want to do, so we really can't figure out what those pivotal points are. But what we do know is this is not unique to Las Vegas. This happened all across the country, hence why we have the Las Vegas My Brother's Keeper. But what we do know is that when kids who really don't need to be in a detention center or in a secured facility get into that, it changes because there are other things that they can be exposed to. And so we do know that when kids are redirected and that we can provide them with wraparound services and other programs like a trial by peers, that those kids are more likely to never be in trouble again. And at the end of the day, that's our goal. We want to keep kids in school. We want to, if they're doing things, a lot of kids, if they have truant problems or those sorts of things, we really want to deal with that root cause issue and get them back in school and on track.
Right, and we're going to talk about trial by peers. But when you look at, how as a society across the country, how have we gotten to that? Remember back in the day, and I'm a few days older than you now. Back in the day, our biggest deterrent was one that mom or dad may find out, one that you said something out of line, two that you didn't even think about ditching school. Are you kidding me? Talking back to another adult, especially a teacher, where you find these things now have become so offensive to the crop of educators now. A lot of times they're not from the same communities. Mm-hmm. And we've known that has been a concern over the years.
Right. And so, you're absolutely right. And I think that a lot of the challenges we have, I don't think there's really one thing. I think it's a lot of things. I think that we are dealing with young people who may not necessarily have the same respect for authority that we grew up with. Again, I'm a military brat. You're a military brat. My dad gave one look. You already knew to shut it down. Some of our young people today just wouldn't be even bothered by that. I think the other thing is that in our communities, we do tend to have people that aren't familiar with different cultures. And so that's another challenge, that something that might seem offensive to you might be the norm for them. And so we are really pushing some culture classes and really appreciation for diversity both in the school and in the community. We're working with kids to understand that law enforcement is a friend and that there's a respect that's due. And just really working on all sides. It's not just about the kids and it's not just about the adult. It's about really bridging that gap. And I think that's where we've gotten. And also, I like the My Brother's Keeper because unlike it takes a village and maybe everybody thinks somebody else is going to do it, My Brother's Keeper is personal. And it's about, are you my brother's keeper? What are you doing to ensure that next generation is successful?
How has the community received that program?
Community's been awesome. It's the My Brother's Keeper is a collective impact, and it's a term that means that we have lots and lots of agencies coming together for a common goal, a common agenda. And so oftentimes you see people can't work together. Everybody's got an ego and everybody's got their own agenda, but we have not had that experience. And we're so fortunate that in our community, people have band together and said, what, we do want to see the schools improved. And so we have 5 schools in My Brother's Keeper, all in the historic West Las Vegas area. But people are coming together to bring in mentoring programs, tutoring programs. Community schools has wraparound services. We have Teach for America that's helping us to recruit teachers. As you know, our schools in those areas tend to have the most teacher vacancies. We're working on re-imaging because a lot of times it's a perception issue. People don't really know. They may not even been there, but they've heard about it and they just think it's a certain thing, not knowing. I worked in West Las Vegas my whole entire career that I've been with the city and even prior to getting there. So what we have are a lot of families that do have some challenges, especially due to some poverty issues, but they are good people and they want the best for their kids. And so it may not look like how you and I would engage, but I can tell you that the families that we've been working with, they really want to make sure that their kids.
And the overall landscape of the traditional West Las Vegas has changed over the years.
Yes.
When I got here in 1982, it looks a lot different here in 2016 than it did back in 82. Now, you talk about some of the diversion programs. Now, one of the ones that I'm near and dear to is the Trial by Peers, which I think is an excellent opportunity.
Yeah, so Trial by Peers has been doing great things in the community long before we got here. At the work of Captain William Scott and also Officer Kevin Woodland, that's in the Clark County School District Police Department, came together and said, what if we didn't have to wait till a kid got into the system in order to have access to Trial by Peers? What if just based on some behaviors early on, we could make a direct referral program? Trial by Peers was absolutely fantastic. They said, you know what, let us look into it. We'll see how we can make it work. And so essentially what they did was expanded their program to now take direct referrals. So we're all about prevention and early intervention. So if we can get to kids before they actually do something that, tends to go to the necessity to put them in the system, that's what we're really about. So Trial by Peers now allows those kids to be referred in early on. So hopefully we can curtail any additional behaviors.
And for those of you that don't know, the Trial by Peers program gives kids a real in-depth insight as to how the judicial system works. In some cases, kids are the judge and the jury and do impose or suggest sentencing or punishment. And it's normally something that kids can deal with, you know. And overall, I think it's been a great program. It started back in the 90s. I'm telling my age as well. But it started back then, and it was a great, great program. And now I'm so excited to see that it's resurging and it's back.
Yeah, and the nice thing about it, it's a peer program, right? So these kids are being judged by their peers. They're not being judged by adults and a jury and a judge and all those sorts of things. And it actually gives them an opportunity to learn from other peers. And I think it carries more weight because it is a peer-to-peer program.
Now, are you also a part of the diversion court?
No, we're not a part of the diversion court.
Okay. Now, I know that sometimes these programs do feed into each other, you know. Now, you recently were named to a new position in the city. It's something that you're like, she is so fantastic, y'all. They created something just for her. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so in January, our city council created a new department of youth development and social innovation. And I know that's like a mouthful, but you know, what it really is it just gets us back to the basics, right? We are working from pre-K to higher education in ways that the city can have educational support that influences and enhances our students' experience. And then we also have community diversity. That's really, really important for us. So we have the Mayor's Faith Initiative and Latino Network and others. And then lastly, we really are working to have community-based problem solving, right? Let's get back to just the basics. Let's bring people in. Let's do the grassroots. That's something we kind of had shifted away from. And now we're saying, you know what? We're going to make sure that the community feels like not only do they have a voice, but they're part of the action. They are part of everything that we're doing. And so I'm really excited, having been in the city 19 years and have spent all 19 of my years in constituent services and being in the community, never left the community, that this is just another way that the city is showing that they value that. And I really...
Ladies and gentlemen, this is one of the jewels of the city. She's the quiet storm, as I call her. She is doing so much for our young people, and we appreciate what you do. And your legacy speaks for itself. So we're excited about what you're doing. I appreciate you. And if we can support you in any way, make sure that you let us know. So ladies and gentlemen, remember that name, Dr. Lisa Morris Hibbler. And we'll be right back.
Here's 4 reasons your business needs to go mobile today. 1, if your site or mobile app is hard to use on a mobile device, you'll drive your customers to your competitors. 61% of people said that they'd quickly move on to another site if they don't find what they're looking for right away. If they don't like what they do find, 79% will look elsewhere. 2, having a mobile-friendly site can boost your business. 74% of people say that they're more likely to return to a mobile-friendly site in the future. 3, you may not get a second chance. First impressions are powerful and lasting. 46% of people won't return to a website they'd had trouble accessing on a phone, and 57% won't recommend it. 4, good mobile experiences can drive revenue. 67% of mobile users say that they're more likely to buy a product or use a service offered by a mobile-friendly experience. Create a mobile app and mobile website today and gain an edge over your competition.
Welcome back to the Lillian McMorris Show. I am your guest host today, Ken Young. And we're just going to keep on rolling. We have such great information that's going on today. I'm glad to have with us, this is a new guy to our area. And when you're talking about he hit the ground running, literally he hit the ground running. And we're excited about what he's doing here in the city. Now, I'm going to give you his government name, and then we're going to move on and we're going to talk about some of the other cool names that he has. Mr. Andrew-Bryce Hudson, man, brother, welcome, man.
Thank you.
Y'all notice how cool he is, right? So I'm calling him Mr. Cool. That we're going to start off with that. So when you see him and, you know, say, hey, I saw the show, you are Mr. Cool. So, man, you've been here for how long? Where are you from originally?
Originally from Columbus, Ohio.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you just got to Las Vegas a couple months ago. You haven't been here very long.
No, I got here in July. So actually June 30th, and I started July 1. And,
Okay.
Trekked all the way out here with my U-Haul and my F-150 on the back of it for 2 days and 4 hours of sleep.
Man, and anybody that's been in Las Vegas for any length of time, you know July is not the time that you don't move to Las Vegas and not regret it.
Yeah, I moved around. I think the weather was 116 degrees.
Oh, that was a cool day.
That was a
in
cool
July.
day?
That was a cool day in
Okay,
July,
all right.
man. You know, so, but you know, from what I'm hearing and talking to you, man, you hit the ground running, and you're doing some wonderful things, man, through CSN. Tell us what you're doing.
Okay, my job is the coordinator for the mentoring program for male students, and the focus is Black and Latino males. And what we're doing is we're pairing our students up with faculty and staff on campus as well as off-campus male mentors. The purpose is we're trying to get our students to graduate within the 2 to 3 years of a community college. What we're finding is that our numbers are not where they should be. So we're looking at students who are graduating beyond, taking 5 to 6 years just for a 2-year degree. With our program, what we want to do is we're having them get access to campus resources. Finding out again that the students come to school, they don't have particularly a lot of guidance in terms of where to go and how to go about doing it. So we establish short and long-term goals. So for example, if you were to be my mentee and I'm your mentor, we would go over your short-term goals, what goals do you want to achieve by the end of this semester? And then overall, what goals do you want to achieve by the end of the, your stay or your tenure at CSN? And so that way, what we're doing is, again, putting the accountability, putting the focus on getting in and getting out. We don't want them to stay. We want them to get in and get out. So that's either into a 4-year school or into a career.
Okay. Now, when we're sitting down with some of these young men, kind of walk me through the process. Okay, here's your goal, and now this is how we get there.
Okay. So, for example, you have a student who says, "I would like to be a part of the program." First thing we have to do is try to match them with the mentor. The mentor is going to be anyone on campus that, again, has a need, altruistic need in terms of getting that student the kind of services and help that they need in order to graduate, in a decent time. When we set those goals, again, are going to be the short term. So, for example, we want to make sure that they meet up with their counselor at least once a month. Making sure they're on time for graduation, that they're taking all the courses that they need, tutoring services. Again, making sure that they have those tutoring in math, especially math and writing. And then lastly, the wraparound services. What we're also finding is that students who are taking so long to graduate, it's not because of their inability to do it, but it's just because they have issues with finances. They have issues with transportation. So those are the kind of things that we address right away, and we try to get them the need that they have that they need in terms of graduating.
Okay. Now, and understanding that this is a new program to CSN, right?
Correct. This is a new program. This was something that was launched by Dr. Richards in terms of getting the research on in terms of what does it take in order for our targeted group of Black and Latino students, male students, to graduate again within the 2 to 3 years. And after they've done the research, they did a call out around the campus to see if anyone was available to kind of be that mentor or that coordinator for it. And as it happened, I interviewed for one position, and I didn't get that position. But then I got a call back within a few days saying that you didn't get this position. However, we're starting this new initiative that we think you're great at, because during the interview I mentioned to them about the fact that I was associate director and I started a program out there in Elwyn, Ohio. Okay. So they liked the concept and what it took, and then they wanted me to run this. What makes this program, this is called the Bump Up Mentoring Program. So the Bump Up Mentoring Program is the fact that, again, we're having a mentor on campus as well as off campus, because a lot of times the students don't know. I always say you don't know what you don't know. You know what I mean? And so that means that when you get into a situation, our job is, again, to address any type of issues that you have by giving you those campus resources. And then when it comes to off campus, again, finding out that the issues that we're having with our students in terms of getting to and from campus transportation, finances. We have students who have aged out of adoption, and so housing is also a problem. And so therefore, with the help of Nevada partners, Dr. Hibbler, with My Brother's Keeper, she mentioned some things as well. We're a part of that.
Okay. Now, so tell me, how do you deal with a situation? A young man is maybe a year and a half into his program, and he says, I can't do it anymore. I just don't want to do this anymore. I'm not interested in this anymore. He's invested a year and a half. What do you do from a mentor standpoint? How do you work with that situation?
One of the models that I say is we mentor because we care. And when we have students that are kind of at that low point, saying that they're unsure. They don't know where to go and so forth. That's where we intervene. That's where we get, I call it intrusive. So we have access to their to their cell phone numbers, their social media, that type of thing, and we reach out to them. We sit them down, and it's not just myself. We're talking the mentor. We're talking about the village. So as we understand that it takes a village to raise a child, and we're looking at it from the standpoint of the city of Las Vegas is the village. And what we do for each student is we get around them. We hunt, we circle around them, kind of circle the wagon, and talk about the issues that they have. And we try to find a way, again, to making sure that they get the resources they need in order to graduate.
And how has the response been from young men that, they see you come in and you're talking to them about their future, you're talking to them about, this is where you're headed and there is a pathway. How are they responding to you?
The response has been, in the beginning, it was like, well, what's this? Because we never heard of it.
Right.
Having a lot of conversation with the young men, what I also found is that no one's really gone beyond where they go after they get signed up for classes here. So, for example, we've had students that will say, no one's asked me about my future. No one's asked me, what happens after the first semester. So that's where we come in and say, have you thought about it? And it just gives them a new way of looking at things, a new way of hope, and then learning that they can go beyond, let's say the city of Las Vegas. Because a lot of times what we're finding is that the students think that they can get the $80,000 job without a college degree, and that's real. That's something that we combat on a regular basis. Because how do you convince a student who knows their buddy that has a GED or a high school diploma, that they can get an $80,000 job being a doorman? And there's nothing wrong with that line of work, but at the same time, we're also promoting education. That's what we do. And the best way that we do that is by showing that you can be beyond, what you see in Las Vegas in terms of just the casinos. There's more to life than just Las Vegas. We're trying to get linked up with Councilman Weekly in terms of going to the HBCUs should they decide to go to that, to the four-year school for transfer.
Right, and those are great examples when you're talking about Commissioner Weekly, people like that they did the work. And this is what, I've had a conversation where we tell young men, you have to do the work. The rewards will come. And it's unfortunate that now we're in this, what we call the microwave society, where kids feel entitled that I got to have it now, give it to me now. And just because I'm here, I deserve it.
Right. We, again, the program is starting off with a pilot program of 25 students. So the goal is we're going to do a scale up. So right now we're based out of Cheyenne campus, and next fall we're going to spread out to the Charleston campus, and then the year after that we're going to go down to the Henderson. But what we found is that a majority of our students are Black and Latino males, comprised mostly in the Cheyenne campus, and then the second would be the Charleston.
Okay. Now, is it the goal that the mentees will at some point come back and be mentors?
Correct. We understand that the students that once they graduate, they will have moved on into the career or they'll have moved on to the four-year school. So we do have that kind of that in place. So once they've graduated, we do ask that they serve as kind of the community mentor. Okay. And that's basically, again, addressing those wraparound services and those needs that they have.
Okay. And you mentioned something before about people getting beyond Las Vegas. I've been here since 1982. And it's often amazing to me to sit down to talk to kids that have never gone to, let's say, Henderson, and that live here all their life. And there's a whole world out there that's open to them, and especially with education, the world is open to them.
Correct. What we're finding again is that with education in the state of Nevada not being where we would like it to be, we're hoping that this program itself opens the doors for our students to look again beyond the city of Las Vegas, and we're hoping at the end of the day that once they look and see that there's more to life than the casinos, and that's a really major part because we have found that students, they come to school and they'll go a semester, but then they won't finish. They'll have dropped out because again that money's calling them. And they said that the money's more important. But the students that we do have in our program, they understand at the end of the day that it's about their education and that it comes with sacrifice. And with that sacrifice means that they're going to be poor. So you have to kind of break it down in that sense of saying the reality is that you're going to be poor. That's the whole point of paying your dues. You're paying your dues, to further your life, further your education, so that way, you can have the type of money that you want. But then the one thing that they can never take away is your education.
Right, and that's, knowledge, man, is so key, even in law enforcement now, when you're looking at promotions, when you're looking at being hired, in some cases now, you can't come on without a degree.
Correct.
So, that education, man, is really playing a vital part of people's future, the kids' future. So,
Correct.
man, I appreciate what you're doing in the city, man. Welcome to Las Vegas, man. Y'all don't know this guy is so cool. I mean, his whole world. Now, he told me, I heard, now, this is rumor. I Googled it, and I heard he used to be in radio. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Andrew-Bryce Hudson. Did I get it right this time?
You got it right.
I got it right. Mr. Cool. So when you see him, say, hey, Mr. Cool. Man, I appreciate all the things that you're doing, man. Welcome to Las Vegas, man. We're excited about the flavor that you're bringing. I'm excited about 3 or 4 to 5 years from now, seeing some of these young men that are mentees now become mentors in the program. And we have you to thank, for that. So we appreciate you. Well, this has been an enlightening day, and we have grasped some great information. You've heard about some of the wraparound services, some of our community-based programs, even some of the programs that are going on in our higher learning campuses that are going on out there. So we appreciate their efforts. Once again, my name is Ken Young, and I'm sitting in for Miss Lillian McMorris. Lillian, we send you our love. We can't wait for you to get back. We'll see you next time